Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Welcome one and all. I am ever so grateful that you have joined me today on this beautiful day in our illusory time, in our illusory reality. I know those concepts are super hard to grasp and very, very difficult often to understand. And of course they are because we're human, and fitting concepts of infinity into our brains isn't really for our existence. But the ancients of time, the ancient religions, the Hindus, the Buddhists, and even speakers and teachers of our own time have been talking about the reality that our reality isn't reality, that it's all an illusion, that the real reality is our eternal self, our infinite self. And because this reality that we exist in is only an illusion, it is here for us to learn from. It is our creation. We are manifesting with our thought, with our focus. We are solidifying those energies with our thoughts and our focus. And because we are here creating in this illusion, and this reality that we live in is not so much reality, but a dream. Also, the time that we exist in here is also an illusion. It is also not real. It is just a concept that we actually, as humans, have created in order to help ourselves wrap our brains around this concept, this illusion that we live in. And I know this may sound crazy to some, but maybe some of you are contemplating this idea. And how is this true? This is all an illusion, that time doesn't exist because you wear a watch and it says what it says and you have to be somewhere at a certain time. But how often does 5 minutes feel like an hour or an hour feel like 5 minutes? It all depends on our perception, our concept. I just had this experience driving back from LA last weekend or a couple weekends ago, whatever it was at this point, where it was a 6.5 hour drive, but it felt like 2 hours. It felt like it was really smooth, really easy. The first hour and a half, I looked down at the time. I thought I'd been driving for 10 minutes, and it had been an hour and a half. It's all about our perception, our concept. Dolores Cannon, in her book, The Keepers of the Garden, when she was questioning her client Phil about this, he had a really excellent explanation that I'd like to share with you. He said, after she asked him the question, would your people also have knowledge of traveling through time? He said, time is not something which can be traveled through. Time actually does not exist. Time is a concept. Time is not an existing material or function. It is simply a concept. If one can travel through a concept, then yes, it would be possible. This is, however, not on our level accomplished. People on Earth always think of traveling backwards or forwards into their past and their future. This delineation, or laying out of events, is strictly for the advantage of human comprehension. Everything is simultaneous. So everything that did happen, or will happen, is happening. Time is simply a concept which humans have devised in order to better understand or to bring to their level that which is around them. It's very difficult for me to understand a concept like that because we think of past events as influencing present and future events. This is simply a way to understand. If it works, that is fine. If it suits its purpose. If it is uncomfortable to try and perceive what is not, then don't try to perceive that. Stay at that level which is comfortable. As you desire to know more, seek it, and it will present itself. In dreams, in happenings in your life, in people you meet. Certainly, there are many ideas far into this planet which are vogue in other areas of the galaxy. The truth is what you make it. That is right there a really wonderful example of time because it is just a concept that we as humans have created. Somewhere else in this book, it says that humans are the only species who have figured out a way to measure something that does not exist. This concept also that everything is happening now. That's a really tough one to wrap our brains around as well. Everything is happening now, but that is the truth. And I have a few examples about that. One, when I am recording this podcast, I am recording this all by myself in my little studio. By the time it reaches your ears, there has been quote unquote time that has passed. But as you're listening to me in your now. Right now, it is now that you're listening to me. And that means that even as I record this podcast, I am with you as you are listening to this. And I want to give you a really good example of how I know this. I feel this all the time. There are certain times when I'm talking about different concepts where I can actually feel you and how certain things are affecting you or how you are responding. This happened just the other day on Thursday when I was talking about the struggle and the choices that we choose before we come here to this planet. And as I was recording, I could very, very, very strongly feel at least a few people who that was really hitting. And that stuck with me, that feeling of how strongly I could feel you all listening, because this is all happening in the now. And so just today, as I was spending my couple minutes of time that I spend on Facebook every couple days, I went on the Positive Head Facebook group and I noticed a post from someone who I will not name and another comment where they affirmed to me that they had felt what I was talking about in a way that I could understand because I literally could feel you. If you know who you are, I could feel you in that moment. And that is because time does not exist. Another really cool thing that happened also on the Positive Head Facebook group, the most beautiful painting by Trudy. Trudy listened to one of the shows where I shared a QHHT session, where actually this concept of time was very relevant. The gathering of souls, where we go to on a multi-dimensional level, where we are going to this place in our dreams and our meditations. Because this is all happening now, you can literally close your eyes, think about this place in this beautiful natural amphitheater where all of these beautiful heart centered souls are gathered together, sending love to the planet and love to every single creature here. This is all happening right now. She talked about this in her session. And I just thought of that session this morning. I thought of that client right before I saw that Facebook post. So, really interesting. All of this time happening now. Speaking of QHHT sessions, this is an example of how all of this is happening now. When we go into a past life regression, we are going into that time in our memory, in our consciousness. And we are literally experiencing that scene, that moment, as if it's happening to us now, in that very moment. Those emotions, those feelings, those sensations, all happening right now. There have been many examples of Dolores's work, actually, her Nostradamus series of books, where she was speaking to Nostradamus in real time. So he was in 1650, whatever it was, and she was in 1980, and they were having a conversation in their respective quote unquote real times because it's all happening right now. Also, the concept of the different timelines comes in here. There are multiple different timelines that we are, what's the word I could, shifting back and forth between. Now, we stay on the one that we are most focused on. But what's really neat about these timelines is there are, especially right now, two main ones that we shift in and out of, the 3D and the 5D, or as I like to think about it, the fourth density or the fifth dimensional. I use those terms differently. So, the next level, we are constantly shifting in and out of, in between, going back and forth, depending on where our focus is, where our choices are, our choice in our thought, our choice in behavior, in action, and all of the little things that we do. Each and every choice that we make, every decision that we make, actually plays out on another timeline, in another dimension. So, say those big decisions in our life: marry this guy or don't marry this guy, take that job, don't take that job, move 3,000 miles away or don't move 3,000 miles away, go on that trip or not go on that trip. All those decisions, the other option plays out on a different timeline. You're doing it elsewhere, but you're just not focused on it. And think about all the different choices that you have made that have led you directly on this timeline that is perfectly divine for you. And speaking of perfectly divine, this story of time all existing now is my favorite. And this one goes back to my very own QHHT session where I experienced being a blue orb and taken to a call to Earth where we as humans, we put out calls. This came through in a session that I did actually just last week about the call, and that when there is a call that is put out, the call is answered. And as a blue orb, I was answering that call. And as I looked down upon the person who was calling me, what I saw from this bird's eye perspective, I saw this beautiful meadow, absolutely beautiful. And this woman was kneeling down in the grass and she was just absolutely sobbing in heartbreak. And I could feel every single ounce of her pain. And I went down and surrounded her with myself, that was the orb. And as I did that, she could feel the warmth of my presence. She felt okay for a minute. And that was such a beautiful experience for me to have. But where this simultaneous time comes into play is that after that session, I knew that I was going to meet that woman. I just knew it. And I found myself through divine timing, through literally being in the right place, or I shouldn't even call it the right place, being in a place at a time to meet a friend who invited me to go to an event that I went to. And I met another friend at this event who he prompted me to tell this story to. And as I started telling this woman this story, I could see her emotion welling up within her. I could see that she recognized this story. And in my mind, as I'm telling it to her, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's you. And so as I finished the story, she was crying at this point and she said to me, that was me. And so then she proceeded to tell me why she was upset and what the story was around that. I asked her where she was, and she was in Mount Shasta in Panther Meadow. And I had the opportunity to go there just a few years ago and check it out. And what was so interesting to me was that when I was in that scene viewing it as the blue orb, I could see her in this beautiful meadow. And when I came down closer to her and surrounded her, I could hear water, but I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. I knew it was there. I felt like it was maybe behind the tree line from where she was, but I didn't know. I All I knew is that water was there because I could hear it. So when I visited Panther Meadow, I understood why that was. The water literally runs underneath the ground in the meadow, and you have to walk right up to it to actually see it trickle down there. And m- as if meeting her and hearing her story wasn't enough, being able to visit the meadow and seeing it from the ground and not that bird's eye perspective was also very affirming. What's cool about that is that I was experiencing that memory in a totally different dimension, a totally different time, but I was viewing that aspect of her now. So that orb aspect of me, I was simultaneously in this same dimension, in the same focused reality as I am. So, what that means is all these different aspects of ourselves, all these different multi-dimensional aspects of us are all existing right now. And that may be a little mind blowing and hard to wrap your brain around, but it is true. It is all happening right now. And even cooler, we have access to it within our mind. And it's just an easy, fun journey. We can tap in to those memories, those experiences, and we can learn a lot from them. I think that is enough for this topic, enough for me today, y'all. I'm going to leave you all with a song. This is Symbolico, Perceiving All. Until next time, love you all.
Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
You are perceiving all. on.